Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is Shanur. I just thought I'll kind of clarify a few things and just share with you some important information, right? Just regarding the status of this virus, COVID-19, coronavirus, right? Just wanna, if you, like, something needs to be understood is that a lot of information about what this really is publicly available, okay? And why this type of information isn't hidden is because in future, when people actually, when the media hysteria dies down, people will want to seek reparations. They're gonna, want to seek compensation. They're gonna say, look, this thing wasn't as bad as you guys made it appear. I lost my business, I lost my house, this, that. I lost my family members, right? In the hysteria, in cutting back the NHS, in causing this massive number of people who, for example, just had a cough, right, to go to the hospital, that choked up the NHS so badly, and the added fear and keeping people indoors make conditions worse, right? People are going to seek reparations. So this information has to be out there as a defense for the government and other authorities, in case people seek seek compensation, seek all sorts of things. So I'm just going to mention to you something from the government own website, gov.uk. I'll leave a link as well, inshallah. I'm just going to read this. The status of COVID-19. All right. Before I say that, there's something called HCID. Right. This is on the government guidance on HCID, which means high consequence infectious disease. All right. And this is like this is an established categorization of disease, yeah, HCID. So the status of COVID-19 as HCID, as of 19th of March 2020, COVID-19 is no longer considered to be a high consequence infectious disease, HCID, in the UK. The Four Nations Public Health HCID group made an interim recommendation in January 2020 to classify COVID-19 as HCID. This was based on consideration of the UK HCID criteria about the virus and the disease with information available during the early stages of the outbreak. This was in January. Okay, this was in January, and this is what many of the doctors, many of the professionals, this is what they're holding on to, is the classification in January. But in the hysteria, people, it's not like this type of information is not helpful for those who are profiting from those who are benefiting from this information, from this situation. This type of information cannot be made publicly available, like it cannot be widespread, right? So you won't see it anywhere. But here it is on the government own website. So that was back in January, classifying as HCID and having all of this, a strong response to it. Now that more is known about COVID-19, the public health bodies in the UK have reviewed the most up-to-date information about COVID-19 against the UK HCID criteria. They have determined that several features have now changed. In particular, more information is available about mortality rates, and in parentheses it says very low or low overall. And there is now greater clinical awareness and a specific and sensitive laboratory test, the availability of which continues to increase. The Advisory Committee on Dangerous Pathogens, ACDP, is also of the opinion that COVID-19 should no longer be classified as a HCID. The need to have a national coordinated response team response remains, but this is being met by the government's COVID-19 response and not the overall HCID response, right? It's very, very important that we understand this. That look, our ulama are making decisions based on the experts, right? But the experts are very, very fragmented on this one, all right? And remember that many of our Muslim doctors are just following guidance on the on the consultants that are government appointed, right? These are the ones appointed by the World Health Organization, right? These are the ones appointed by a lot of these bodies like the UN, right? And we know as Muslims what these bodies are, okay? Remember, our ultimate authority is Allah, not the government, right? And we have many rights because people fought against things that were unfair, right? Look at this. The COVID-19 is not even considered as a HCID, and the amount of paranoia we're facing, where brothers won't even they won't even come next to each other because of that stupid 2 meter rule, right? But I have seen, with my eyes, I've seen long lines outside the shop, within the confines of a shop, where you have people, long lines, and they say 10 people in a shop. Fine, let it be 10 people in a shop. They're all in line, within 10 centimeters, 10, 20 centimeters of each other, right? So what I say, my respected brothers, that this is so unfair that this type of information isn't being spread. That, yeah, of course we have to, we have to take precautions. Oh, still be precaution. No, but listen, the 2004 SARS epidemic, that SARS influenza is still considered HCID, but COVID-19 isn't, right? And this is what I say about contextualizing even the fatwa. This is rukhsa, If an alim gives you a rukhsa on something, then of course, if it's plague, then of course, certain things. But if it isn't plague, right? An alim isn't a virologist, an alim isn't a biologist. Of course, he's taking advice from biologists and virologists. And something about medicine overall is that there are different schools of medicine, okay? There are different schools of medicine. And, remember, today's medicine is, today's overall medicine is based on, subhanAllah, germ theory. This is the pharmaceutical industry, right? They make money off of this type of paranoia. They make money off of this type of thing. There's a massive machine working behind the scenes that you don't even know about, right? But then I know all of you know about hijama, all of you know about cupping, right? Cupping is completely on the opposite end of germ theory. Cupping is homeopathy. Cupping is terrain theory. Terrain theory is about using herbs and certain minerals and certain foods and certain fruits and vegetables, to encourage natural healing, letting the body recover from itself by itself, right? This is the antithesis to mainstream medicine, okay? Antithesis to the mainstream doctors who are Muslim even, and telling us X, Y, and Z and giving us information. So understand that there's so much more context to this, right? It's not simple, it's not clear cut. Of course, to make life easy, we may choose things which are clear cut, which are, to make life easy, right? But alhamdulillah, that Allah has given us, Allah has given us different perspectives. And because of that, that makes us strong. When Salman radiallahu anh, he introduced the idea of the Khandaq to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Rasulullah took it. It was a massively unique thing that won the war of Khandaq, right? So just because a view or just because an understanding or a methodology may be in the minority doesn't mean it's rubbish. You have to weigh it on the merit of its argument and not the fact that it's just minority, right? So that, I'm sorry, that is not a justification for anything. Anyway, this, I could go on and on about this. Inshallah, I'll try to include some links. And, my brothers, just learn more about this, okay? Because, we sacrifice Jummah, we sacrifice Jama'ah, we sacrifice so many of the rights that we have. We made no type of stand against the government, right? And there was saying, fear of you're going to touch someone, you're going to infect them. When subhanallah, over 8 days ago, right? They downgraded COVID-19, but no one was the wiser. This news should have been everywhere, spreading everywhere, right? So, my dear respected brothers, subhanallah, and friends and ulama, I mean no disrespect to anyone, inshallah, but all I say is just do more research, right? Just don't take what the mainstream gives you, because our authority is Allah, right? And, I pushed and I encouraged, to pray salah in the masjid, but this was when there was no legislation, this was when there was no law put down. But now the law came down over the masajid in public places, fine. But now there is no law, right? There is no law against Jummah. There is no law against Jama'ah. So if you're young, you're healthy, and you've got the equipment, alhamdulillah, in Jummah today, there were brothers wearing the mask, they had gloves on, subhanAllah, they brought their own thing, they didn't touch anything, and alhamdulillah, 10-15 minutes, khalas, Jummah was done. Doors open, everything. So, subhanAllah, don't let fear and paranoia, destroy your Islam. أقول قولي هذا أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.